Hello survivors and welcome to episode 8 of Ark Highlights. In today's episode, it's a starter's guide to taming. Taming is one of the easiest ways to level up your character on Ark. No matter what you tame, put simply, this is one of the most important areas of Ark, because once you tame, you can breed. We've already covered building on Ark, which is another key area of Ark Survival Evolved. Now we move on to creatures. Once you've established a base, you will need a mount. Whether it can fly, swim, or run, you need something to be able to move around the map more quickly and get more resources from the wider areas. Some dinos are great for harvesting. Stegosauruses, Ankylosaurs, and the Doedicurus are particularly great for gathering particular resources like stone, metal, and berries, which you'll need in higher quantities as you get more creatures and things like that. So something to consider when you're taming is what are your needs for that moment. Once you get to the high levels, you can just start taming whatever you want, just out of personal preference. First things first, what do you need to tame a creature? There are many different tools you can use to tame, and as you level up, you'll be able to make them at their particular level. One of the first things you make is a bow with stone arrows. The other one, which you need to have with this, is the trank arrow. That's the particular arrow that you can use. These are the first things you'll be able to build. Always consider the amount of torpor on each tranquilizer as well. The trank arrows have the lowest amount. Side note, torpor is how much tranquilizing effect the arrows or ammo has. The higher the torpor, the less ammo you will need to tame. You can find this information on the taming information of a creature when you go to ArkWiki. Very important. The long neck rifle is the next one you can sort of make at the sort of higher levels, and then you can also make the tranquilizer dart. Do be aware the darts come with a particular cost. They need sort of 3 narcotics, and making the narcotics when you don't have a creature can be quite expensive, so just bear that in mind with this one. Although of course you might already have a creature by then to gather berries, because of the trank arrows. Long range rifle and the tranquilizer darts are more accurate than the arrows and have a higher torpor. So the harpoon and the tranquilizer spear bolt. Obviously I have the harpoon there in my LB left arrow slot. The spear bolts are slightly more challenging because they have a very long or lengthy reload time in game, but has a high amount of torpor. I also mentioned that bringing along a harpoon with the net projectile, which is this one here, which is from Genesis Part 2, will be very useful as it can net creatures so they do not run away or start to attack you while taming. Put simply, you essentially trap them on the ground, so it's like a bowler but for larger creatures. And finally we have the tech arrow with the tech arrow? No, the tech bow with the trank arrow setting. One of the new pieces of gear from Genesis Part 2. It only requires element shells to work. Also, these trank arrows seem to have quite a high amount of torpor, possibly on the same par as a tranquilizer dart. Possibly. The only downside is that you do have to have the Genesis Season Pass in order to learn it and use it. Also bring along the tech pistol. Couldn't hurt either, and also set in the healing mode, because you can heal the creature you're trying to tame if you've got too much damage, to bring up the effectiveness basically, which can be quite helpful. So I have a preferred equipment to use when I'm taming. I would recommend the harpoon and spear bolt, tranquilizing spear bolt that is. Having used those myself, I know that they're very effective and do not require a season pass to learn. However, I do have the Genesis Season Pass and have found the tech bow to be very useful for taming. Also, I use the net projectile now as well. That makes life so much easier, as the dino doesn't attack you or run off. And I also use the tech pistol if damage is done to the creature. All of this is quite effective when I'm out trying to tame. So now you've chosen the best tools for taming, we also need, from our narcotics. These things keep the creature asleep while you're trying to go through the taming process. They are very useful to have around and very effective. They're made from narco berries. These are also very handy for keeping the creature asleep or unconscious while you're taming, if you can't make narcotics at the lower levels. So I'd recommend, if you're struggling to make the narcotics, the narco berries will have the same effect, just not as greatly as the narcotics do. So you'll also need to get the preferred food for taming. Herbivores will prefer mejo berries, the purple ones. These will increase taming time, however any berries for a herbivore will be okay. Carnivores will prefer raw prime meat. Again, this does increase taming time, however normal meat should be okay. There are some creatures from Genesis Parts 1 and 2 that may want something more specific. Make sure to go online and look at what they need to eat before you go and tame that creature. I recommend the Ark Wiki for this information. Everything you need to know is there. The link will be in the description to this video. Now sometimes you may have the option to build a taming pen. For me, I build them depending on the creature I'm trying to tame. I have one pen specifically designed for medium to small creatures, and we'll go and have a look at that now. Now this may not be for everyone, but the larger creatures like the Quetzal and the Wyvern, and although this is not a creature, the vehicle, the Tech Hoverskiff, can pick up creatures and carry them. This is very useful if you want to tame them in a safe environment away from the wild creatures, and that's one way of taming rather than you having to go and find the creature. So as you can see, you sort of have a roof around the outer edge. You have a nice large interior, then you've got filled with windows which you can shoot through. One of the things I did was place a double gate, just to make sure the creature doesn't escape, because obviously the first gate opens to me and the second one is a manual gate. I found that quite useful. And as you can see, you can perfectly shoot through. Now the reason why I designed it with the ceilings in mind, sort of this above area, was I was sort of hoping that there would be the turrets with the trank ammo for them, but that hasn't appeared yet, or they are not thinking about doing that, and that's on wildcard really. But you can also tame from above, which is also quite helpful as well, so you get sort of different perspectives, and also depending on the tame as well. So there are two different methods of taming. The first one is the knockout tame. This means the creature needs to be knocked out or made unconscious before you can begin the taming process. If you want to tame a larger creature, for example, like the Carcanos, the Giganotosaurus, or the Titanosaur, these creatures require the use of a cannonball, which can knock them out due to its high level of torpor. So that means you've got to set up a cannon, you've got to trap it, and all that jazz. It takes time, but you do tame them effectively. The second method is passive taming. This is a slightly simpler process. You place the taming food in the end slot of your hotbar, where my minigun is, and simply feed the creature. Some creatures will run, they'll attack you or move away from you. You do have to keep track of them, which cannot be easy. The net projectile should be useful for both forms of taming. The net projectile only does 0 to 1 damage on the creature and will keep the creature netted until you remove it. Much like a bowler, only larger, and can be used on all dinos. That's pretty much how it goes. So, I'm going to sort of show a traditional knockout tame, where I'll go and find a creature and do it that way, and then I will also go and grab a creature and place it in here so you can see both processes in action. So the first job is to find a creature. I do also find that the tech helmet scan mode is very effective at finding the creatures, particularly when they hide. Some are very good at hiding from you. And the last thing you want to do is also find it useful as a sort of early warning if a T-Rex is going to come at me from somewhere. There we go. Right, so we've now knitted the Pteranodon. And now it's been rendered unconscious. We can now begin the taming process. And there we go. So now we have it. I've got to make a saddle. Thank goodness that tamed. I was getting worried there. I will speed that up. Right, so I'll show the other process now. Oh, one of the first things you want to do couple of things is make sure it's no longer whistling. It's following you. Right, so we can now go in search of something a bit further afield now. You will have to consider transporting it, although thankfully stamina isn't an issue with the Tekhovaskiff, so if you're using a Wyvern or a Quetzal, you might want to consider, you know, not going too far. But with the Hoverskiff I don't have that problem as long as there's fuel in the tank. Doesn't seem to be doing too bad at the moment. Right, so we now have our creature. All we have to do now is fly it back. obviously we're using the advantage of the vantage point to tame. So same process again. Sticking a bunch of narcotics. And then sticking a bunch of berries. One of the great things is that it is really safe to use in this pen. You know, nothing can really penetrate. So there you go. Everything you need to know about taming. So in the new year we will continue with episode 9, A Starter's Guide to Breeding. Please make sure to check out the Let's Play Ark series as well. Also make sure to check out the next episode of Ark News where I go through the latest reveals from the Extra Life stream. If you have any questions about anything in today's video or anything Ark related, then please comment below. Make sure to subscribe for more Ark videos and content and hit that notification bell ding to stay up to date with the latest videos. Have a great day, Survivor.